Hello and welcome. My name is Shailesh Kumar and you're watching National Defense. The news is coming from Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition LIMA 2019 that China is planning to buy Russia's 5th generation stealth Sukhoi 57E fighter jet. Now the question arises, why would China buy a 5th generation fighter jet which Indian Air Force has rejected a year back, and more so when China has its own stealthy operational J-20 5th generation fighter jet and J-31 which is in advanced developmental stage. China already has Russian Sukhoi 35 in its fleet. Is it because India buying 36 Rafale fighter jets from France and they are likely to be delivered in September 2019? Maybe, but this is not the real reason why China procuring Russian Su-57 fighters. The mystery lies in news of US selling F-16V to Taiwan, also known as Republic of China. Generally, it is technology that takes priority in defense purchases, but perhaps in a rare instance, geo-strategy overshadows the technology. Keep watching National Defense as we unravel the mystery of India being entangled in this great game of 5th generation fighter jets. A year after India withdrew from a project with Russia to develop a customized version of the Su-57 stealth fighter, Russian defense conglomerate Rostec has stated that China could be another opportunity for the aircraft. During LIMA 2019 in Malaysia, Viktor Kladov, Director for International Cooperation and Regional Policy at Rostec, announced that Russia was set to clear the Su-57 stealth fighter for export shortly. The export version of the fighter would be named the Su-57E. A Chinese government mouthpiece, Global Times, reported that integrating another fighter into the fleet could raise challenges for China's own 5th generation J-20 fighter project. However, the Su-57E could be useful for a technical study for the Chinese military. So the first reason for China to buy Su-57E could be the reverse engineering prospects under the guise of technical study. Su-57 jet is the same fighter plane Sukhoi T-50 Pakfa that after over a decade of negotiations, India in July 2018 withdrew from the 5th generation fighter aircraft project, which aimed to develop Su-57 variant for the IAF. The FGFA was to include 43 improvements over the standard Su-57, including a twin-seat design, a 360-degree ISA radar, and improved super cruise, that is, the ability to sustain supersonic flights without use of engines afterburner. Prototypes of the Su-57 were reportedly tested in Syria in February 2018. In March, Russian President Vladimir Putin termed Su-57 to be world's best aircraft. At the moment, there are 10 Su-57 prototypes undergoing various stages of testing and evaluation. However, 9 out of the 10 the Su-57 prototypes are equipped with the derivative of the Russian-made Saturn AL-41F1S engine. Su-35S Flanker E has AL-41F1, not the more advanced Saturn is the LA-30 engine, featuring increased thrust and fuel efficiency and fitted with the 3D thrust vectoring nozzles. The Saturn is the LA-30 engine, which enables the Su-57 to supercruise without afterburners, is not expected to be ready for serial production for next many years. China signed a $2 billion contract for 24 Su-35 fighter aircraft in November 2015. The 4 were delivered in December 2016, 10 were delivered in February 2017, and rest 10 Su-35 were delivered in the end of the year 2018. One of the reasons for China's interest in Su-35 was the AL-117S turbofan engine. Russia has repeatedly refused to sell the engine as a standalone product, which left the PLA Air Force with little choice but to acquire the entire aircraft. The Chinese military aviation industry is still struggling with designing and building an engine for its new 5th generation stealth fighter prototype, the Chengdu J-20. A report suggests that China tried to reverse engineer parts of the AL-117S turbofan engine. Even today, Chinese-made fighter jets continue to rely on Russian-made jet engines. The J-20 reportedly is fitted with the Saturn AL-31, an older Russian-made jet engine. Another 5th generation fighter jet, the Shenyang J-31, is equipped with the Klimov RD-93. China is currently working on its own jet engine, the WS-13 Taishan turbofan, a derivative of Russian Klimov RD-33 turbofan. Both the J-31 and J-20 are incapable of supercruising or pursuing sustained supersonic flights. In August 2016, China announced that it set up a new state-owned aircraft engine maker to accelerate the development of new high-performance turbofan engines for the PLA Air Force. The Su-57E aircraft, which China may buy, will fly with the AL-41F1 engine, which could call into question the stealth capability of the aircraft. The aircraft's sensor suite and other mission systems also reportedly continue to suffer from developmental issues. Furthermore, the Su-57 lacks other high-end, low-observable design features. All of this calls into question Russian claims that the Su-57 is a fifth-generation stealth fighter jet in its current configuration. So this further adds to the mystery as why China wants to buy an aircraft fitted with an engine which technologically does not give it the stealth capabilities. The answer lies in the geo-strategy. Trade war is going on between US and China. US wants to contain Chinese strategic influence. Russia is still not out of its financial crisis. Russia and US are old enemies. China is now aligned with Russia to deal with US. US has decided to sell F-16s to China's enemy Taiwan. So China decided to buy American enemy Russia's best Su-57 fighter jets. So geostrategy overrides technology. But where does India stand in the great game of fifth generation fighter jet? We'll tell you a little later. Fearing wrath of China, the United States of America has not sold its F-16s to Taiwan since 1992. China claims democratic Taiwan as its part only and in the past tried very hard for Taiwan's reunification with China, including militarily. US, like India, has been pursuing one China policy and consider Taiwan as part of China only. But now the Trump administration gave its tacit approval to Taiwan's request to purchase 60 F-16V fighter jets. A formal request would still need US congressional approval, but the news has already rattled Beijing. While a few dozen fighter jets would hardly tip the military balance against the increasingly powerful Chinese military, it would signal a new American willingness to back the democratically run island. For Beijing, it is huge shock, and Beijing got a feeling that the US doesn't care how China feels. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Gang Shuang reacted to the news. I will reiterate our consistent, unequivocal and firm opposition to US arms sales to Taiwan. China has lodged stern representations to the US on this issue. We urge the US to fully realize the high degree of sensitivity and severe impact of this issue, honor its commitment to the One China principle, and stop arms sales to and military ties with Taiwan. Renewed US interest in Taiwan follows growing calls in Washington for a whole of government effort to prevent China from surpassing American military and industrial dominance. Perhaps nowhere has the power shift been felt more than on Taiwan, an island of 23.6 million people that China aims to eventually control despite 70 years of divided rule. China spent 23 times more than Taiwan on defense in 2017, up from double in 1997. And a Rand analyst argued in 2016 report that China's sophisticated short-range ballistic missiles could cut every runway at Taiwan's half-dozen main fighter bases and destroy essentially all parked aircraft in a conflict situation. Any planes that made it in the air could face Chinese pilots flying jets such as the J-20, a projected fifth-generation stealth fighter considered to be a rival to Lockheed's advanced F-22s and F-35s. However, we all know the problems which J-20 faces. Still, the F-16 sale would represent a shift by the US, which is obliged to sell arms of a defensive character to Taipei under the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act. USA turned down Taiwan's request for stealthy fifth-generation F-35. The F-16Vs requested by Taiwan are promoted as world's most advanced fourth-generation jet, including the latest radar and avionics, even though the original F-16 model has been in service for more than 40 years. The aircraft would help Taiwan respond day-to-day incidents such as the aerospace incursions that fall short of open war and mop-up data during routine patrols. Outraged by the confirmation of sale of F-16s to Taiwan, China got infuriated and two Chinese J-11 fighter jets intruded in Taiwan's airspace, crossing median line in Taiwan Strait for the first time ever after 2011. Taiwan termed the incursion by two Chinese jets as reckless and provocative. So this is how geostrategy overshadows the technology in the great game of fifth generation fighter jet. But it is not enough. China plays Su-57 game because it also wants Russia to drift away from India at a time when India and US are cozying up to become strategic partners. Very recently, General Electric Company of US, which previously supplied engines G404, for India's Tejas Mark 1 fighter jet has recently offered to supply F-414 enhanced engines to power India's upcoming medium-weight fighter and fifth-generation AMCA fighter jet program. Two of US fighter jets, Lockheed Martin's F-16 and Boeing's F-18, are in the race for India's MMRCA fighter jet. So China is consolidating its geo-strategic bloc with Russia and Pakistan. Chinese strategy is to buy from Russia, copy it, and then sell it to Pakistan and other countries. This is the great game of fifth-generation fighter jets. Hope you liked the video. Do give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe National Defense. Content on channel National Defense is free to watch. If you wish to advertise on National Defense, you may write an email. Address is given in the description of the video. We would highly appreciate your comments on the video. Thank you for watching National Defense. Stay fit, stay healthy and stay tuned to National Defense. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.